And I see that a lot of BAs, they're not really familiar with product roadmap. When they hear it, they think, oh, it's the product manager's role. In terms of product roadmap, we should also have a say. Most of the time, product managers don't have time to go in the detail of the process. So that's where your job comes as a BA.
You wrote on your post that business analysis is not just about user stories or requirements.
As business analysts, we just need to expand our thoughts and expand what we can do, and not just the stereotype of writing user stories and acceptance criteria. Because guess what? A lot of product managers are being built in a way that they can write user stories and write acceptance criteria. And then you just see yourself, nothing to do.
Welcome to the Inside Business Analysis podcast. I'm your host, Tanner Jacobs, and today I am joined with Ibiyemi Fasipe. Ibiyemi, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing well. Well, first of all, thank you for putting yourself forward to come onto the podcast to share your expertise with us today. So, Ibiyemi, you are a senior business analyst, a certified practitioner in business analysis, a mentor, a facilitator, and you are also passionate about women in business analysis as well. And on LinkedIn, you have kind of got the top business analysis voice badge on there. So that's really fantastic. And our conversation today is going to be around product roadmap and kind of our role as business analyst with the product roadmap, which I'm excited to dive into. But before we get into that, could you just maybe give us a brief introduction into yourself and your experience and as a business analyst so far?
Yeah, I would say that my journey is a very funny one, isn't it? Because I started in aviation and I always wanted to be like a cabin crew. But then, I don't know, for some very weird circumstances around that, from family and all that, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to walk in the ground and not walk on the air. And then I just found myself, being in process and just trying to understand how to make sense of all of these processes. And I would say that back then, I really didn't know business analysis. This is what it was all about. I just know that I'm in a unit. I'm trying to put together processes to make things better. And then I found out about business analysis. I took my first certification in software development and information systems from BCS, that's the British Computer Society. So when I did that, it started making sense and trying to put things together. And then that was how I found myself in business analysis. So then I moved to the UK and then I'm like, okay, this is really in demand. Then I didn't put everything together. I started applying for roles and that's how I landed into business analysis. So when I started as a business analyst in higher education, okay, I started just as a business analyst. I actually started it as a contractor. Okay, they wanted me to come on and do user stories. Just come do user stories for us and putting together acceptance criteria. And then it just went on and on from there. And then I started being a permanent staff member. And then it was an opportunity to become a senior BA and I jumped on it. And then I found myself doing, being a senior business analyst. So it's been a very interesting journey moving from process into pure business analysis. And then now I find myself working with other junior BAs that I have to mentor and then just helping them through the journey of becoming a stronger business analyst. So yeah, I'd say that's just a brief summary of myself.
Oh, I love that. And it sounds exciting. I mean, from aviation into business analysis, that's an interesting switch. But it sounds like you've had an interesting journey along the way on the ground, even though you're not, up in the air, so to speak.
That's what we call it. Sorry, the aviation term. You're either in the air or on the ground.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cool. So product roadmap. Let's have a discussion around that. Could you explain in your own words, how you would define what a product roadmap is, and particularly from the context of, business analysis?
Yes. So when you think product roadmap, you're thinking the strategy for how you want your product, or it could even be a process. Because many times when we hear business analysis, product management, we're thinking development. But I'm sure you see that handle. That is not always the case. You might be enhancing something or you might be improving the process. So even when you're improving a process, you can also have a roadmap item for how you want to deliver the service. Okay, so product roadmap is that strategies, those items for how you want to achieve your goal. Because every project, every portfolio, we all have objectives and what we want to achieve with whatever we're working on. So it starts as a problem, and then it builds into a solution. But how do you get to the solution? How do you tell your stakeholders that this is how I'm going to work? This is the journey. So that's where the product roadmap comes in. And I see that a lot of BAs, they're not really familiar with product roadmap. When they hear it, they think, oh, it's the product manager's role. But it's just to create that awareness that in terms of product roadmap, we should also have a say, because that's what defines and creates the journey and how whatever you're building or whatever you're doing, this is how I'm going to do it. This is the blueprint, basically, on how I'm going to deliver the service to my stakeholders or my end users. So there are items, okay, that helps you to prioritize, to deliver value to your stakeholders or end users. Yeah.
That's really interesting. And another perspective as well could be that we think product roadmap is that portfolio side of things. You know, the program manager would do that, or the project manager potentially, and then we will look at a specific part of the roadmap where we will kind of go into the details. But okay, so it's that roadmap just showing the what we're delivering.
Yes,
I'm assuming, right?
Blueprints. I would call it
the blueprint.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily going into the details of how we're doing it and what exactly is being delivered. It's kind of saying at a high level, maybe kind of that feature level, so to speak.
Yeah, or epic level. Sometimes we have that epic level of, the delivery on how we're going to deliver whatever value we're trying to deliver.
Got you.
Yeah.
So this is literally that step beyond the user stories level, or before that, should I say?
And this is even coming way before the user stories, because then you're already into proper development. But this is when you're starting. You got the problem, you go back to your stakeholders to recommend an option they should go forward with. And if you get a yes to say, oh yeah, go forward with this, recommendation, then you show them how you're going to do it. It could be over a period of 4 years, 5 years, 2 years, different quarters. It just depends on how your organization is currently set up.
Got you. And another thing that's quite important in the roadmap is to show the link of what we're delivering, as in, the things that are in the roadmap, to the objectives and kind of the business needs and the business goals. Any tips on how we can make that link?
Okay, so in terms of objectives, so you've got like program level objectives. So a program could have like 3 or 4 projects currently working in that program. So then different projects have also got their own objectives, and you have to show how it also ties into the program level objective. So as a project, you have your roadmap. What do you want to deliver for the first quarter? Okay, you want to give time back to maybe the staff members, like colleagues. Most times as BAs, as product managers, it's not always all about money. Sometimes you're giving time back to your colleagues. You're saving them time, maybe like calls to the contact center, things like that. So all of those objectives, how do you want to deliver it in the first quarter? So it could be that for the first quarter, you come up with your OKRs to say, okay, I'm going to give time back to staff by reducing the contact center calls by maybe 20%. Okay, now that's an objective. And then at the end of the quarter, you then have like a review where you're saying, did we actually achieve this result? Was it a 0.1? Was it a 0.2? Or was it like a full-blown result? We achieved this. And this is where data comes in. I know a lot of people shy away from data. They're like, no, I'm not a data analyst. But this is where data comes in. If you don't have a data analyst on your team, you could actually speak to your contact center, see what people are actually complaining about. And you don't have to look at the whole thing. And this is where your roadmap comes in again. So if on your roadmap, there's a particular process or epic you're trying to deliver for that particular quarter, and you're trying to achieve those set objectives, so you could tell them the categorization. Oh, for this piece, I want to know the calls, the complaints, because for every time they take a call, they always record what the person is calling about and if they were able to resolve it. So then you go into that spreadsheet. It might be a very massive one, but then you go into it. You don't have to look at the whole thing, right? And if you've got like top tier data analysis skills, you can analyze it quickly and get the insights out. But then you have to go back at the end of the quarter to see, go back to them and see, did we actually deliver this value? So that's one way you can use to deliver your objectives. And then if it's like financial benefits, you could work with your finance team and see if you're actually meeting the objectives. And then you also have to deploy it back into the program level, because the program is also answerable to the whole organization as a whole. And they are asking them as well, how are you achieving the objectives for the company. Do you understand? So yeah, this is how it's kind of complicated, but this is how it goes in the objectives. Yeah.
No, I think you've explained it well because
Yeah.
it's almost like a hierarchy, isn't it, of
Yeah.
objectives. It's not
Of
necessarily saying
objectives.
what's the objective of the whole organization and link that to your
No, it's
roadmap. It's
too
kind of
big.
saying, yeah, exactly right. It's almost like what's the objective for what you're doing, and then what's the objective for the high level program, and then how do the two match and link together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool. As long as I think obviously the main thing is the measuring part. That's probably quite important as well,
That's the
because I
next
think it's easy to kind of say, we're going to deliver this, it's going to be amazing, and it will help solve this or help to reduce this or help to increase that. But
Yeah.
the measuring bit can be forgotten because we just kind of build, deliver,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen this recently, but a lot of organizations are all about metrics now, data. How is this? How are you
Absolutely.
delivering this? It's not just by saying you're building, you're launching. How is this helping the organization? Is it a waste of time, a waste of money? So I think that's where all of this thing comes. And because my own organization, we're very big on data at the moment. So it's really helping to understand all of these things and how it helps to, give back to the objectives and how we're measuring, the objectives as well. And if we're achieving key results.
No, absolutely. Do you know, it's so funny you say that because the last sort of two roles that I've had, including the one I'm currently doing right now, yeah, it's a big part of being like, yeah, it all sounds good, but what exactly is this going to mean for the business? What exactly is it going to deliver and for the teams? But being showing the quantifiable stuff, not just the improves morale, or it makes things simpler, more efficient. It's like, okay, but
Yeah,
specifically, what does it mean? And kind of being
the
really
numbers.
on that data. Yeah, what's the numbers?
Yeah,
So I think you're right on that front. And as part of this product roadmap, as you've mentioned, it's
yeah,
kind of most of the times it's kind of managed or owned by a product owner, product manager type of role. And then as business analysts, we work very closely with them to support them in that, right? How would what's the best ways in your opinion that we can support that product manager kind of person? Because effectively they own it. So and if we are playing that supportive role, what tips would you have for BAs?
yeah. First of all, I'd say where we start our analysis from when you break out the processes. Most of the time, product managers don't have time to actually go into going in the detail of the process. So that's where your job comes as a BA. What are the systems involved? What are the touch points? Who are the end users? Who are the stakeholders? So once all of these things are done and the product manager is coming up with a roadmap. So he's coming up with a roadmap, but he might not have the detail. And that's where you come in. You can also help with data as well. Data is really important. You can also help with those analysis. If you've got a data analyst, wow, good for you. But if you don't have a data analyst, then you really need to support the product manager because it would be looking up to you to help with the data stuff. Okay, and all of these data flows, like where is this feeding into this? If I put X into this system, where is Y coming out from? So all of those details, I'm breaking down the process into the smallest level possible would really help the product manager to know where to improve the service and where to improve the journey for the different users that are involved. So yeah, I would suggest that when you see the roadmap, understand, this epic, this is the process that is involved in this epic. How many processes are involved in this epic level roadmap? And then help the product manager to understand all of the areas as well. And one major thing as well is the policies. Sometimes you have a product manager that is a contractor. He might not necessarily understand the policies. What can I change? What can I not change? And what can I improve that can help the policy to change as well? Because sometimes you have rules, you have business rules, you have policies, but to be honest, they're not just the best and they're complicating the journey for the users. So you can also help them to plot out the policies in the roadmap as well. So yeah, I would say data, policy, and the processes.
Got you. That
Yeah.
makes so much sense. Yeah, because all of that helps to then shape the how. How is
Yeah.
this solution
How are we
going to
gonna
be
do it?
delivered?
Yeah.
Yeah, how are we going to do it? And then, and I'm assuming we're doing all of this before we get to the user stories, right? Like this is all
Absolutely.
still at that epic level,
Yeah.
and it's quite interesting because I think there is And it's not wrong or right. I think it just is what it is in some cases,
Yeah.
where in some cases the BA, we are expected to jump straight into the user stories
No, that's
and
not
kind
the
of doing the
case.
acceptance criteria, doing the detail before we've even just taken a moment to acquaint ourselves with the roadmap, with the epics, with the business rules and the policies and the processes, and even just kind of that high level perspective of things that are happening. And then even the little bit that we're looking at as a team, how does that look and connect with all the other bits that the other teams are looking at? And I think that's probably one powerful thing I can see here with this roadmap. At least B has been interacting with the roadmap. And I imagine prioritization is key, as always.
Oh, yeah,
We have to prioritize
100%.
what's in the roadmap, or even support the product managers to prioritize what's in the roadmap. Can you share kind of your favorite go-to techniques to prioritize items in the roadmap, and also some tips on how we can identify, or prioritize in the right way? Which ones we need an immediate focus, and which ones could we kind of push far back in the roadmap?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because most of the time people hear prioritization and the first thing is Moscow, but it's not always the case. I know it's good to have Moscow, but it's not always the case. So sometimes in your organization, you need to have like a quick win. Okay, we call it like a quick win because it just needs to deliver that value ASAP. Like if you don't deliver it, the company is going to lose X amount of pounds. So you need to identify if that is currently happening, if your project is currently impacted by that. Okay, so that's where the quick win comes in, and then you need to deliver that feature ASAP. Now, if you're not in that scenario where something is impacted by what you're doing, then you can think about the Moscow, and then you can think about your stakeholders. Because you could do a roadmap in January of a year, and then you don't actually get to implement anything on it till the end of the year. So we have to socialize the roadmap. Okay, we socialize it to our stakeholders, we get feedback, and you have to be very flexible on the roadmap as well. Don't just do it and then that's final. No, your stakeholders are going to scream and like, no, we want this one first. We want that one first. And then you have to go through all those multiple iterations. Sometimes your user researcher, your service designer might be working on some prototypes. That's if you're not the one doing it as a business analyst. But if you're working in a very big organization, then you have like people like service designers, user researchers, UI and UX designers. So they might be doing like some prototyping and doing like usability testing sessions where they're getting feedback from end users. So all of that feedback might impact your roadmap as well, and you need to switch things around. Okay, so just to be honest, I always tell people like there's no one size fits all for how we do things as business analysts. I'm sure you know that you work here today, you work in the next organization, and different things are playing out. Or I would say identify your quick wins, understand your organization properly, and know if whatever you're doing, your service is impacted by. You don't want them to lose money because of your projects, because you're not understanding what needs to be done. So yeah, identify the quick wins. And once that is done, you can then prioritize based on stakeholder feedback and all of that. Then when you actually get to development, that's where your Moscow comes in. You don't do your Moscow on your roadmap. I feel like that needs to be like awareness. We need to create a lot of awareness to people understanding what Moscow really is when you get to your user story type level. And it doesn't start, user stories do not start in the beginning. They're like at the end when you're actually delivering something to your end users. So yeah, I'll take quick wins, understand the financial implications, and work with your colleagues, work with your cross-functional team. It's not all about you. Everyone decides on what we do next and make a decision based on the team level.
Wow, I love that insight. So to somebody who's just heard what you said and they're like, oh, what? Moscow is all I do. What do you mean? Quick win. So a quick win, just to be clear then, is a quick win something that you can deliver quickly or something that will give us value in the shortest amount of time? How are you thinking about quick win?
There are different areas to it actually. So quick win could be that the developer says, oh, I can do this in a line of code and then it'll be done. I've actually heard that from developers to say, oh yeah, we could do this tomorrow and it's done. So that's a quick win. And then another quick win could be that your stakeholders are shouting about a particular thing. Okay, you remember your power interest when you're doing your stakeholder matrix. You've got someone that got high power and they say, we need to fix that. Okay, so that might be a quick win, but it might not really be a quick win when you're developing. So it also still boils down to the development team. Sometimes big time stakeholders that in the executive team, they're ready to put their money on it and get an extra developer for you to actually make that feature happen. So you always have to work with them. So it's a quick win, but it might not really be a quick win in terms of development. So yeah, I think there are different areas to quick wins in terms of development efforts and in terms of financial implications, because you don't want them to lose pounds because of you.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense, and that's how you then prioritize it effectively. That's that's incredible. Okay, so that's kind of the prioritization side, and let's not use Moscow at these high levels. Let's save that for the user story levels and the details of delivering the value to the end user. So that makes sense. So you mentioned earlier on, obviously, stakeholder management here is key, or stakeholder engagement really is key, because this roadmap is kind of built not just between you and the product manager, but everybody else in the team and in the organization. Any tips on how we can, I guess, sell the product roadmap to other people and other teams so that they kind of see the vision that we're trying to accomplish? And because I can imagine, for instance, some stakeholders might almost feel like it's just words on a paper. This is not like real. You're not really going to do this. We've been here before, whatever. Especially in projects where we're trying to change something that's been ongoing for a while. How do you help to sell that vision, particularly to stakeholders, and get them engaged?
Yeah, do you know I'm laughing because I've had stakeholders tell us on a team like, you've been working on this since 1990. So they're trying to be hilarious, like it's been going on forever. So yeah, but in terms of stakeholder management, it's really tricky and it's no one size fits all. So you're delivering a service. The first thing you need to do is, who are the most important stakeholders on this service? Who are the guys that have got the power, they've got the interest, they are locked in. It's like everything. I've seen stakeholders that like their life depends on what you're doing somehow. I'm just being, but their life depends on it. So you need to put those people on side. So there might be 3-4 people, have regular slots in the diary with those people. Sometimes we set up meetings to have meetings with our very close stakeholders, like twice in a week, or like every week, or like every month. So as the delivery picks up, right, we then increase the amount of times we're speaking to them. Okay, so this is when you've done your stakeholder identification and your stakeholder analysis, and you've done your matrix, and you know where each of these people belong to. Some people have just got the power. Okay, they don't really have interest. They just want to know that you're doing everything okay. You can set up regular slots with them as well. And then the guys that you're going to be co-creating with, the guys that are going to be using this on a day-to-day basis, you can set up something to show them what you're doing. Because guess what? If anything goes wrong, they're going to be the first people that will shout to say, no, this is not working. This is all a waste of money. I'm sure you've heard all of these things before. So yeah, you need to understand your stakeholders and create meetings with them. Don't wait for them to come and say, what are you doing? Let them in and take them on the journey with you. Now, you need to socialize your roadmap as widely as you can. So in your organization, it might be that you guys have show and tells like maybe once a month or bi-weekly. It just depends on what you do. So then you show what you're working on, work in the open, have a lot of transparency, and make sure you're ready to get feedback. And make sure you're showing that you're learning from the feedback. So you haven't show and tell today and they gave you some feedback. The next one, let it be shown that you've taken that feedback. So that way your stakeholders are on board with you. Do you understand? So I would just recommend those initial slots in the diaries are really important because they get locked in and they kind of fight for you sometimes because they're locked in. They're bought into to what you're doing. You're telling them everything you're doing as you progress. So if they're in a meeting with like very top tier stakeholders, they're going to say, yeah, that team, I was speaking to them yesterday and this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. It's just going to help your life as a business analyst or as a product manager. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%. Finding people who will be champions for what
Yeah,
you're doing is
champions.
incredible because I always, at least I learned this the hard way eventually in my career. I realized that, everything that we're delivering, even though I care about it, once it's delivered, it's kind of no longer in my hands. It's kind of in their hands. And so it's really powerful to get them championing the thing before it's brought on. Because when it
Yeah,
comes to the implementation side, particularly with changing processes, for instance, if they're not championing it, then the reality is they won't do it, or they won't do it as well as they could do if they did. So yeah, 100%. Find your champions and effectively just keep working with
lock
them,
them
right?
in.
Lock them in.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so so obviously, okay, so the product roadmap is this high level, epic kind of level, and kind of showing the what's being delivered, and building that in conjunction with a product owner, product manager, regardless of the title, but somebody in that sort of role, and then working very closely with the business stakeholders to kind of build that together and also find out the priorities. You then have the quick wins of, right, this is a quick win, or this is a number of quick wins that we can prioritize,
Yeah.
and focus on. For somebody who kind of is hearing all of this conversation right now and they have never seen a product roadmap, or maybe their current place doesn't do one, and they're thinking this would be so useful, to kind of get started. Do you have any tips for them on how they could kind of start piecing some of this together in their own version, in their own ways?
I would say there are a lot of templates out there in terms of product roadmap, but some people are not really familiar with Miro, so you could do something on Miro, put boxes. So you could just literally get like a box, okay, and put the epic. You can have a place where you can plug in the policy, the name of the process, and all of those things, then move to the next box. Just do like a process map. If you're very familiar with a process map, you can do like a process map. Forget all of the BPM and stuff, and just put those boxes together, show the lines connecting, and then showing how the journey would be going in terms of delivering the value to your stakeholders. So I'd say, yeah, some people are very familiar with process mapping, so that might help them in terms of understanding how to do the journey. Or if you're familiar with customer journey maps as well, you can also use that to kind of plot how the product will be developed in a roadmap item.
Yeah. No, I love that. Very clear there. Very clear explanation. Okay, that's really great. And then you have a statement that I thought was really powerful and interesting. So I wanted to pick your brain on and kind of make you elaborate on it. It's an interesting statement. You wrote on your post that business analysis is not just about user stories, or requirements. Yeah, can you maybe give us a bit more insight into that statement and also that position in fact, and what you mean by that?
Yeah, I think I put that in the context of product roadmap, but because I see a lot of people that are trying to become business analysts and all that, all they talk about is user stories, acceptance criteria. I just feel that that's the only thing they see. But in actual sense, you might be on a project and you don't even write one single user story. Okay, so that's why I put that out there. So I want business analysts to understand that sometimes you're just diving into processes, understanding, you're speaking to business stakeholders and you're understanding their process, their pain points, their journey, okay, the systems that are involved, and you're trying to put things together. Like everyone in the project is kind of relying on you to go like digging deep into the ground and coming out with diamonds and all of those things. So that's why I put that out there. Like even in terms of the roadmap, don't leave it to your product manager, because this is where you show that you're really valuable. Okay, so don't leave it to them. Get involved. Don't just wait until they're ready to actually go into Azure DevOps or Jira to start putting together user stories. And then you're like, yeah, I'm here now. But that's not all it's all about. As business analysts, we just need to expand our thoughts and expand what we can do, and not just the stereotype of writing user stories and acceptance criteria. Because guess what? A lot of product managers are being built in a way that they can write user stories and write acceptance criteria. And then you just see yourself nothing to do. So show yourself, even with data, like if you don't have a data analyst, I'm not expecting you to do SQL type or do Python type data analysis. No, you literally use Excel to do data analysis. So, do something, speak to the end users, understand their pain points, bring out insights, remove the noise, and bring the things that make sense out of the conversation. Be in those conversations, put together the questions, put together the answers that you can help to, get what you want. So you can help them to give a service that actually works for them. Okay, we always have to remember that it's not just about the product, it's about the service. We're trying to deliver a service to a group of stakeholders, a group of end users. And they don't even know what you're doing. They don't want you to change how they're working. And even when you're done user story or acceptance criteria, it doesn't end there as well. You need to help them to land the change. You need to help them with trainings, with user manuals. You need to do like a walkthrough of the of the product. There's a lot more than user stories and acceptance criteria. So I think I was just in my feelings that day and I just put that out like, it doesn't end there. So
No,
yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with that, and I definitely do see a lot of aspiring business analysts being only fixated on user stories and acceptance criteria. It's like they become user story like experts, and then it's like, okay, what else? And it's just like, oh, I thought this was it, and it's like, okay. No, there's more to it. There's more to
yeah,
it. But yeah, no, it's definitely true. We deliver change, so that looks different in many different ways, and user stories is just a small part of doing that, albeit it can be a big time. It can be a big part of where our time goes in a particular
absolutely.
phase of the project. But
Yeah,
certainly, it's it's not the only picture of business analysis. So yeah, that's really cool.
yeah,
So Ibiyemi, you also have a community that you run. The community is called Nexus Edge Consulting. That you have. It's a WhatsApp group that
yeah.
that you have. Can you maybe just touch on that community, what why you started it, who's it for, and how people can join?
Yeah, so I would say, to be honest, it starts from wanting to mentor people to help them become a better version of a business analyst. Because I'm sure you see that the market is so competitive. So how do you stand out? So I just created a community to share, things with people, to tell them this is how you can become a business analyst, basically, to mentor them and I join sessions where I'm talking to other people and I kind of bring it to my community first and to say, oh, you can join this session. I'm going to speak into this person. So it's just a way to mentor people to help them to become business analysts. And it's not just business analysis because we have a lot of crossovers with product managers as well. So some of the things that we do, you can actually use it to transition to become a product manager. So that's kind of mindset I have. I work very close to my product manager, but sometimes if my product manager is off for leave or anything, there's no struggle because we've been working very close together and everyone kind of say, oh yeah, I'm sure she can handle that. So that's that's the level I want people to get to. So yes, that's the community to help people and help them to become business analysts and help them to transition as well. And it's a WhatsApp community. So it's literally, the link is literally on my LinkedIn page. So once you click on it, you just get right in the community.
Awesome. We'll put the link to your LinkedIn profile on the description, and then when people click on that, you will then see it just underneath your name, I believe, somewhere around there, which
Yeah, I
says
think
join
it's
your
somewhere
community.
around there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then people click that and it takes us straight to your community. Oh, really cool stuff. And so yeah, if you're interested in that community, that's how you join. Ibiyemi, it's been a really, really interesting conversation around the product roadmap, and you've clearly articulated and explained kind of how it works, what goes into it, and our role as business analysts to kind of help to build it, but also to deliver it. Are there any tips that you can think of that you kind of want to make sure people really take home from us as business analysts working with or building a product roadmap and delivering it, that you think you'd love to share?
I don't feel like I've probably shared that, but yeah, I think stakeholder management, engagement is really key in terms of developing a roadmap. And I think I keep talking about data. Like if you go to my LinkedIn, I talk about data a lot. So yeah, don't forget the data because that's what's going to show the quantifiable benefit. It's not all about the qualitative data, like opinions and what you hear from your stakeholders. Like the numbers are really important. And I would say prioritization, understand how to prioritize as well. You could read articles, you could literally just go online and try to understand prioritization, and don't focus only on Moscow or high, medium, low. Go outside of the box on how to prioritize. It could be because of process improvement. It could be that a particular department, their process is so broken down, there's too much spreadsheet, and we need to help them fix it ASAP. So that can help you with your prioritization as well. So yeah, I think stakeholder management, data, and prioritization is definitely one to note if you're coming up with a product roadmap.
Oh, cool, Ibiyemi. It's thanks for the roundup. Last question for me is, what do you love about being a business analyst?
I would say the fact that everyone is kind of waiting for you to get the answer. Like, no one wants to do the dirty work, so you're expected to do like the dirty job of deep diving into the problems. Like, you could have like a mirror board. I kind of enjoy using mirror boards because it's so big and you can just throw things on there. So you could speak to stakeholders, you understand their processes, you dump it on the board, you speak to the next one. At the end of the day, you kind of plot it in together. So I enjoy doing that, just going off every other thing and just deep diving into processes and understanding it. And when you're in a meeting and people are confused, you kind of always have the answer. And then you become popular in the team because they're like, oh yeah, I'm sure she knows that. And then everyone's like, sorry, can you explain this process? Can you explain that process? So it kind of keeps you busy and makes you valuable in your organization. So I enjoy doing that as well. And just generally the life balance that comes with being a business analyst as well, because most of the time you get to work from home. You can plan your work-life balance. So I would say that, yeah, those perks that comes from being a business analyst and working in the digital world, I also enjoy that as well. Being a mother, that really helps me plan my work-life balance. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff there. Thank you for sharing. Well, Ibiyemi, this has been a really insightful conversation. Again, thank you for volunteering to come onto the podcast and being willing to share your expertise. I think I've definitely learned a few good insights and tips from this conversation regarding the roadmap, and also thinking at that higher level perspective first before jumping into the detail and just kind of seeing how everything connects and intertwines together. So that's really, really, and the roadmap is a great tool for doing so, particularly when there's a lot of things changing, isn't it? But yeah, no, thank you again for coming on. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks, Sando. Thanks for having me.